Hi there, my name is Morgan Gunther and I'm a naturalist with the East Bay Regional Park District. Thanks for joining Songs and Stories. Today we're going to be learning all about who eats who in the food chain. So we're going to be learning about predators and prey, producers and decay, which are all part of the food chain. So an animal that eats another animal is called a predator. Everyone put up your big predator claws and say, predator! And when you think of a predator, what are some animals you think of? Maybe a tiger or a shark or a human. There are lots of different kinds of predators. And predators attack prey. So animals that get eaten are called prey. Everyone put your hands around your neck and say, prey! So a predator eats prey. And can you think of what is the prey of a shark? A fish. What is the prey of a mountain lion? That would be a deer. They mostly eat deer. So there's lots of different kinds of predators and lots of different kinds of prey. And a lot of prey, some of them are actually predators too, and they'll eat smaller prey. And then also a prey might eat a producer, which is a plant. Everyone make your hands like leaves shaking in the wind and say, producer. So we've got predators and prey, producers and decay in the food chain. So I said decay. Decay means that something eats something that's already dead and it decomposes and turns it back into soil. So that could be like a banana slug eating something that's already dead and scatting out the side of its head. So decomposers can also be things like worms and fungus and all sorts of different stuff are decay. And all of those are part of the food chain. So we're actually going to start off today by singing a song all about the food chain. What we're going to do is we're first going to learn the chorus of the song. And you've already got it a little bit. So it goes, predator and prey. Let's do that together. Predator and prey. And then it goes, producers and decay. Let's try that together. Producers and decay are in the food chain. Let's do it together. Are in the food chain. And then you say chain, chain again, but like you're a heavy rocker and go chain, chain. So let's put it all together. Predator and prey, producers and decay are in the food chain. Chain, chain. One more time. Predator and prey, producers and decay are in the food chain. Chain, chain. So that's the whole chorus. But here's the thing. I'm going to be playing guitar, so you got to do your best to remember those motions. Get up those predator claws. Predator and prey, producers and decay are in the food chain. Chain, chain. Predator and prey, producers and decay are in the food chain. Chain, chain. Well, plants are producers. They are the sun users in the food chain. Chain, chain. They make food from the sun, and the food chain has begun in the food chain. Chain, chain. Rabbit comes along to eat the plants down in the food chain. Chain, chain. But the plants, they have more to feed that herbivore in the food chain. Chain, chain. All right, get those predator claws up. Predator and prey, producers and decay are in the food chain. Chain, chain. Predator and prey, producers and decay are in the food chain. Chain, chain. Coyote likes to eat a little rabbit meat in the food chain. Chain, chain. And it really makes his day to eat that rabbit prey in the food chain. Chain, chain. Coyote lifts his tail and scats on the trail in the food chain. Chain, chain. For bugs, that's a deal, 'cause scat's a gourmet meal in the food chain. Chain, chain. All together. Predator and prey, producers and decay are in the food chain. Chain, chain. Predator goes in the food chain. Chain, chain. So the food chain never ends. It just begins again in the food chain. Chain, chain. You can see from this song how energy moves along in the food chain. Chain, chain. So eat your food, my friends, but think of where it's been in the food chain. Chain, chain, one last time. Predator and prey, producers and decay are in the food chain. Chain, chain. Predator and prey, producers and decay are in the food chain. Chain, chain. Give yourself a hand. So, we are now going to read about a food chain called pond circle. So a food chain that's in a pond. We'll see what different animals there are here. And this book is by Betsy Franco and illustrated by Stefano Vitale. This is the water, the deep, still water that filled the pond by Anna's house. This is the algae, the jade green algae that grew in the water that filled the pond by Anna's house. So we've got a producer. Who's gonna eat that algae? Let's find out. This is the nymph, the mayfly nymph that nibbled the algae that grew in the water that filled the pond by Anna's house. This is the beetle, the diving beetle that ate the nymph, that nibbled the algae that grew in the water that filled the pond by Anna's house. Who's gonna eat that beetle? This is the frog, the loud bullfrog that gobbled the beetle that ate the nymph, that nibbled the algae that grew in the water that filled the pond by Anna's house. This is the snake. Look at that predator, the garter snake that swallowed the frog that gobbled the beetle that ate the nymph, that nibbled the algae that grew in the water that filled the pond by Anna's house. So we've already got some predators and prey. Who's that? Hold your nose. This is the skunk, the shy striped skunk that caught the snake, that swallowed the frog, that gobbled the beetle, that ate the nymph, that nibbled the algae that grew in the water that filled the pond by Anna's house. Now, who is going to eat that skunk? Not me. Not me. Let's find out. Who's gonna eat that skunk? What? This is the owl, the great horned owl that dived for the skunk, that caught the snake, that swallowed the frog, that gobbled the beetle, that ate the nymph, that nibbled the algae that grew in the water that filled the pond by Anna's house. I can't believe it. Actually, I can't, because they don't smell in the same way we do. This is the raccoon, the hungry raccoon. Can you make raccoon eyes? That stole the eggs of the great horned owl, that dived for the skunk, that caught the snake, that swallowed the frog, that gobbled the beetle, that ate the nymph, that nibbled the algae that grew in the water that filled the pond by Anna's house. All right. This is the coyote, out in the dark that stalked the raccoon, that stole the eggs of the great horned owl, that dived for the skunk, the shy striped skunk, that got the snake, the garter snake, that swallowed the frog, the loud bullfrog, that gobble gobble gobbled the beetle, the diving beetle, that ate the nymph, the mayfly nymph, that nibbled the algae, the jade green algae that grew in the water, the deep still water that filled the pond by Anna's house. It's our top predator right there. I am the girl whose name is Anna, who heard the coyote. Can you make the sound of a coyote? Oh! One summer night by the deep still water, where algae grows, mayflies dart, beetles dive, frogs spring, snakes swim, skunks shuffle, owls swoop, raccoons rummage, and coyotes howl. Oh! I am the girl who heard the coyote. Here's the coyote. Looked up from her book, leaned out the window and howled back, "Hello, hello out there," across the darkness and out to the pond of deep still water by my house. The end. So hopefully today you learned a little bit about how predators and prey, producers and decay are all part of not just a chain, but a circle and a web out in our habitats and in our parks. So thanks so much for joining for Songs and Stories, and have a great day.